Welcome, fans, to Talking T-Birds, our weekly coaches show where we talk everything Casper College basketball. I'm your host, Phil Kohler, as always, joined by head coach Sean Gutting. Today we have a very special guest, 6'3" guard out of Encampment, Wyoming, Dalton Peterson. Dalton, thanks for coming on the show today.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. So, Coach, Region 9 champions.
Yep.
Region 9 North champions. How does that feel? What does that mean for the program?
Sure's got a great sound to it, doesn't it? No, it's extremely special. It's extremely special to have it happen here. I've been extremely lucky to be a part of the last two of them. It wasn't our ultimate goal, but it was one of them. And, we put ourselves in a good situation. We've talked about it for months now, here on the show. We couldn't be more thankful, more grateful for the opportunity we have to keep playing and keep playing at a high level.
Sure. First time winning it since 2019, correct?
Yep.
And then any idea when the last time was that we hosted it? I couldn't find it.
It was 2012 from what I understand. So it's been the first time in 10 years that we'll be hosting the tournament. Only the second time in the last 10 years since then that we've finished first place.
Sure. Great accomplishment, Dalton. You guys start out the conference season with a loss, and then you guys come out and you win 7 in a row after that. Talk about what went into that 7-game win streak.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for us, as a team was playing with our backs against the wall. Coach Gutting was big about, telling us, hey, we got nothing to lose. At this point, nobody expects us to, go rattle off, 7 straight. And so that was just, we brought it every day in practice, competed, let everybody know that, hey, now more than ever we need each other, and each other's all we have. So, with Coach Gutting and then you coming to help, and then, the 12, 13 guys in the locker room, we just came together and, brought it every day. So.
Sure. And he talks about that competitiveness, that coming together. You guys have a tough weekend. You guys lose 2 games by a combined 6 points. By a combined 8 points. Leading into conference play, what do you guys do to kind of right the ship and fix things a little bit?
It's a great question. And honestly, the whole time we've been sitting here wondering what do we do with all the time that we have in between playing games, no matter how we finished, So I've been asking a lot of questions. A lot of people have been in similar situations. What have they done with their team? Right now, I think a lot of it is trying to get our mojo back a little bit. And I think we all understand as a group, what the difference was between, the weeks prior and last week. I mean, we, got a little comfortable, felt pretty good about where we were. And it probably caused us to drop 2. So we have to kind of get our edge back a little bit, and we're looking at it as a positive, knowing that it's just another learning experience, and it's something that maybe is the wake up call and the jolt these guys needed.
Yeah. Well, and like Dalton says, that back to the wall mentality. And it never hurts to play in tough games, in tight games like that. Especially because knowing coming up in the next 3 games, that conference tournament, it's going to be anybody can win, and you're going to be in tough games, regardless of who your opponent is.
Correct, exactly, yeah. And I think it's good film, good things for us to watch, learn about ourselves, and can really use it towards trying to win a title.
Sure. Yeah. So speaking of that opponent, we look at next Thursday. You guys are starting your region tournament your tournament run. You guys will play either NJC or Lamar. Dalton, you guys have seen NJC twice now. Yep. Obviously, it was a long time ago. I'm going to have you put your coaching hat on. Okay. What were some things that you guys did well to beat NJC the first couple of times? And then what do you guys need to do if that is your opponent on Thursday at 7 o'clock?
Yeah, so I think, kind of what Coach Gutting touched on there, I think there's, a few things that we know that we do, that when we do them, we're really good. And, that's playing with pace, defending at a high level, and moving the ball, I think, are our 3 keys to being successful. And, those 2 games in particular, I think we did a great job of, getting stops and then getting the ball out, pushing up the floor and then sharing the ball. We have multiple guys who can score it, multiple guys averaging double digits. And so I think that's when we're at our best, is when we're sharing the ball, playing at a high pace and getting stops. And so I think that's the game plan going into whoever we play next Thursday, just playing Casper basketball. So.
Sure, Casper basketball, I like it. So Coach, Lamar, the other team that's playing in that playing game, you guys haven't had a chance to see them yet. Have you watched them much on film? I know they've won 3 games in a row coming into the conference tournament.
Slightly, and I know their roster fairly well, and Coach Sellers, who's done a pretty good job there the last couple of years, has had some really talented kids. Chris Cook is as good as anybody in our conference. And they got a group of guys that can really shoot it. So it'll be preparing for somebody we haven't seen yet is always exciting. You know, and it's going to be kind of a tale of two stories here as we try and get ready for both teams just to see who ends up winning. Sure. You know, because we know a lot about one of them. We don't know very much about the other.
Yeah. So that game's Saturday, 2 o'clock? Saturday,
Yes.
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock, yeah.
Saturday at 4 o'clock, we'll get an idea of who the opponent's going to be next Thursday. Dalton, let's dig in a little bit more with you.
Yeah.
This year you made 84 three-pointers, shooting it over 40%. For somebody that wants to come out and shoot the ball at the level that you have so far, what kind of work have you put in over the last couple of years, and probably even more than the last couple of years, to become the shooter that you are?
I just tons of hours in the gym, man. I think that's really what it comes down to. You know, is you gotta love to shoot and you gotta love to be in the gym. You know, I think as Coach Gutting will attest to it, he probably gets a little annoyed with me how much I text him. You know, asking when I can get in the gym. You know, when it'll be open, things like that. And then the same thing. You know, during the season and the off season, just huge. You know, just spending a ton of time in the gym, spending a ton of time working on your game. And I would say that's just been the biggest thing that's kind of led to my success this year is just the hours and hours of work that I put in, shooting, working on my game, things like that, and translating it to the season.
Sure. So you're a guy that last year as a freshman only started 6 games, played roughly 10 minutes a game. Now all of a sudden you start all 29 games this year. You're playing close to 30 minutes a game. Was that kind of the goal in the offseason? Was that, where you were going to put your focus on and trying to be that player? Yeah,
I think that was, a big focus for me going into the offseason after last year, is especially, how we ended last season, obviously not, not where we thought we should. And, as we didn't finish as well as we knew we could. And so I think that was a big motivator for me, is coming back and contributing, being a large part of a winning team. And then obviously, our goal of, winning a Region 9 regular season North, title, and then obviously hopefully winning the region here next weekend. And so I think that just goes back to the work, I put in, being that a big driving force, when you don't want to get up and work out, or, you don't feel like working out that day, it's, hey, this is going to translate come March when we need it. And so I would say just for me, and I know, Jaron and some of the other returners like Usman, that was a big thing for all of us, is, just working as hard as we can individually over the summer, just so, when we came back, we'd be that much better. So.
Sure. And Coach, I hear Dalton talk a lot about this work ethic, and not only him, but the rest of the sophomore group. Talk about how important it is to have a Dalton Peterson in the program, a guy that's going to come in. He's going to be one of the hardest workers on the floor. He's going to be the most vocal guy on the floor.
Right.
He spends a lot of time with these freshman guys and leading them and showing them the Casper way, like you talked about.
Yeah, I mean, it's been honestly perfect for me and my program to have a guy like Dalton who's never shied away from the truth. I mean, the first time he ever came to our campus, I told him the truth about what he was at that time, how I saw it. He didn't run away from that. Last year, at the end of the year, I told him the truth about what he was. He didn't run away from it. When you talk about loving it and wanting to be in the gym, every guy in high school will say that. Every kid that's working out and playing basketball, whatever, they'll say, I love it, I love it, I love it. They got to understand there is a massive difference between loving it and really, really loving it.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of like a scientific method to this thing. He really, really loves it. There's never been any doubt about it. I begged him to get out of the gym sometimes. And I think it having Dalton and setting the tone with those returners and, our older guys, our sophomores, like we've talked about before, being really willing to be in the gym, willing to spend time in there, willing to do extra work, not complaining about it. It sets the tone for your culture and your program moving forward so much, and he's been a big part of that with those other guys, and I couldn't have asked for a better basketball player from Encampment, Wyoming. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know it existed until I met Dalton and his family, but it's gone really well. He's turned himself into a high-level player and proved himself to be a winner.
So, Dalton, we talk about Encampment, Wyoming, and I was even surprised when I asked you this question. I want you to tell the people how many kids you graduated with.
I think 14 in the graduating class.
14?
You think 14?
I'm pretty sure. I don't
That's
remember
a big
for
number
sure,
to
but
know
I'm pretty
which
sure.
one. Wow, man.
I'm going with 14.
You
I'm
can
going with
probably
14.
name them all probably,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was just saying, pretty good.
So you come from a graduating class of 14. Coach Gutting doesn't even know where Encampment, Wyoming is. Talk about how difficult it is to get recruited and some of the things that you did to get yourself noticed.
Yeah, no, it's it's super difficult, and I think it's kind of a a storyline for every small town kid who has hopes of playing college basketball or has high hopes of, really any dreams, that involve, playing college sports or, just getting out of your small town. And I just think the biggest thing is that lack of exposure, especially when it comes to basketball. And, Wyoming, obviously, Coach Gutting can attest to this. The competition level, isn't as strong as some of the other states. It's not necessarily anybody's fault, just the smaller population, things like that. And so I think the big thing is just getting outside of your bubble. Is a big thing we talked about, and seeing what's out there, seeing the talent level, the competition level, and playing against people who are better than you. I think that's the only way you get better, and that's definitely something I tried to keep in mind going through my high school years was getting to tournaments, getting to places where I could play against kids that were better than me and would push me, and then therefore try to get some exposure that way as well. So.
Sure. His story reminds me of this movie I've seen one time, the movie Hoosiers.
One time?
I don't know if you've ever seen this movie before.
He's like a lifetime Ollie right here. And honestly, to kind of piggyback off of Dalton a little bit there, just about him especially, being a kid from a smaller school, 1A school, that most people didn't really know, beforehand. He's really set the tone for what it takes to be somebody from those places and to become what he's become. And a big part of that was that Dalton never had to tell anybody he belonged here, never had to speak about it. His actions just showed it. And I think when you're somebody coming from that type of background and, really trying to prove yourself, it shouldn't take you having to speak about it. You're just are or you're not.
Sure. Yep.
And he definitely has proven time and again that he is.
Well, in college basketball, coaches get paid to go out and find players, regardless of where they're coming from. And I think that speaks to both of you, both your work ethic and your ability to go out and find players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, Dalton, to that point, so you get towards the end of the recruiting process. What was the thing that kind of put you over the top and led you to Casper ultimately?
I think the biggest thing is, just the family atmosphere and the winning culture. When it came down to, I had, a couple other junior colleges in our region, that had, offered me or that were recruiting me pretty hard. And I think, it was a pretty clear, it was a pretty easy decision for me, I guess, after visiting those schools and then coming to Casper and, seeing the atmosphere, the winning culture, the high level, how Coach Gutting and Coach Les at the time treated it like a Division I program, just the level of talent they brought into, I think was a big decider for me too, because I knew if I'm playing against Division I caliber guys every day in practice, that's only going to make me that much better. And so I think just ultimately the family atmosphere and the winning culture is what was easy decision for me.
Absolutely. So. And he talks about this winning culture. Coach, what are some things that you do to build this winning culture? Is that something that you really try to preach, or is it something that just kind of comes from, sophomores leading freshmen and those freshmen turning into sophomores eventually?
I think it starts with recruiting and trying to find the right type of people for you, and then setting the tone very early on as a coaching staff and, as you're returning sophomores, as your leaders, knowing what the expectations are and really buying into the fact that attitude, effort, energy go a long way. We don't really talk about making shots very often. I personally don't, and it could be right or wrong. It's just not who I am. And this place, kind of already has an example of what it is really nice about some junior colleges, and we have things that other junior colleges don't. So really understanding that you should be appreciative and, grateful for the opportunity. And that you have to continue earning the right to be here after you've already earned the right to get here in the first place. And so we talk about it, but a lot of times the teams that are really good just end up embracing it. And you don't have to talk about it anymore. And that's kind of what this group has really done so far this year.
Absolutely. So, Coach, moving forward, the rumor running around campus right now is that you have a handful of basketball players that are looking to switch sports and become golfers. Now, is there any truth to this rumor after watching some of them play a little bit last night?
Tell you what I saw last night, they better stick to basketball, and they better stick to it full-fledged. If they weren't committed to it already, they better be committed now.
Hey, man, I know you saw
that
me play.
was as bad. He's going to try and tell you how good he was. That was as bad as you could see. Now, the one thing, and we joke about it, the one thing that's great about this group of guys is embracing something like that. We took them to the golf simulator last night, let them do something that a bunch of them had never done before, and they weren't shy or scared about trying it, and I think that they'll tell you how good they are. Look, I'll see. I got the videos. We can show you.
I mean, for the first round of the season, I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah.
And I will say, Dalton, you did hit it pretty well. Is golf something that you've ever done before? Have you played much?
Yeah, try to get a few rounds in every summer here and again, but definitely don't do it as much as I want to. I mean, I think Gutting does a little more than all of us, so he might have a little more experience. But
all right, now, and I'm going to ask you a question here, and I would never ask you to throw one of your teammates under the bus and call them the worst golfer. But if you were the best golfer and they were going to play you in a pair and you had to play with the worst golfer on your team, who would you think you would be paired with?
oh man, I'm trying to remember.
You really set him
I know
up
I was
for
going to say
failure
that's
here,
what
man.
there were some
What's
pretty
sad is
terrible
there's a lot of
swings.
guys you could choose from.
That's what I'm trying to decide from. Honestly, probably JP. I think. I mean, him, D-Rob, and O were the three that stood out that were like particularly bad in my mind, but. Just the fall through on JP, almost hitting the ceiling. I think that's probably what set it over the toe. So.
It got a little rough out there last night. Apologies to Mike Newman for the grass that Dre probably might have taken a chunk out of.
Yeah.
The way he was swinging that 7-iron was a little bit scary, but
He did text me this morning and say that he had back problems and needed to go see the trainer. And I decided then we're probably never going to go to the golf simulator again.
So Dalton, on a more serious note, looking towards next year, what are you kind of planning for next year?
I think it's kind of still up in the air. Obviously, I think I have some interest, but really, I think just my big focus right now, and I think a lot of our guys' big focus right now is just finishing the season the right way and doing what we set out to do, which was win the Region 9 championship next week. So
Absolutely, Coach. We're kind of wrapping things up here. Next Thursday, Sweet Erickson Gymnasium. You guys are going to get NJC or Lamar. Games start out here at 1 o'clock next week. 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Great opportunity for you to take the day off of work, take the day off of school like I'm going to, and just sit in the gym and watch basketball all day.
Yeah.
What can the fans expect from this Region 9 tournament?
Well, you're not going to get a better grouping of basketball in the area. So close proximity, one after the other. Every team's got guys that are getting recruited by Division I schools. You're going to see guys that go on and play professionally. So it's going to be competitive. It's going to be fun. It's always exciting. Every year I have fans tell me about how exciting our games are. I'm never excited. I'm a nervous wreck during those things. But, I think ultimately it is something that is great for the city of Casper to come witness and get to see high-level basketball at its finest. Guys that you'll probably end up seeing playing on TV at some point.
Sure. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the tournament, Thursday, 1, 3, 5, and 7. The winners of those two games will play Friday at 5 and 7 with the championship game wrapping up on Saturday at 7 o'clock. Great opportunity to come out and watch some really high-quality basketball. Yep. Dalton, really appreciate you coming on. Coach, anything you want to add?
Go T-Birds.
Go T-Birds. Fans, remember, always shoot for the stars, because even if you miss, there's always a chance for an offensive rebound. Thanks for joining us.